he was just irritating it for a while. But Dougie will be back as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Jamie. Next question. After the first few games, do you have any plans to adjust the squad at all?
Not at the minute, to be honest. I think we've got a decent squad of players. I think we've done fantastic, right? If I'm honest, with the people, with the board, with myself and Conch. To Rob's Rob sat next to me going, "Oh yeah, what were you saying earlier?" No, we've got a settled squad. We really have. Listen, we always want to improve, right? And if there's someone who stands out to us as a player, then we'll look at it. You know, obviously with the leagues below being stopped, that opened up a couple of opportunities for us, as in Billy Knott, to get him in on a dual reg, who I like a lot. So there's opportunities for certain players in certain areas. But I'm happy with the squad we've got. I think we've done a great job with the players that we've got, the personnel we've got, you know, to get that in sort of the budget, sustainable and everything. I think everyone's done a fantastic job. And it's just about getting them playing and getting them confident. And any week now, I think we turn up. I think we played the two toughest teams, in my opinion, in Havant and Ebbsfleet. Maidstone, I think, is a tough game as well. But apart from that, I think every other team that we're going to be playing against this season hasn't got the squad that we've got. It's just about getting the confidence and playing. It's a tough league.
Yeah, next one. Next question is very similar, Jamie, but I'll read it. It just says, are you happy with the squad as it is, or will you be looking to bring in new players? That's from Rob Dowman.
Is that right?
Was it players, I said?
Ah. Listen, if Rob had his way, we'd be playing with 12 men. But and I wouldn't have anyone on the bench. So no, I'm happy with what we've got. We've got a good squad and we've got good lads. Some of them need to perform better and more consistently. Is where I'm not happy with a little bit. You know, the consistency of the performances hasn't quite been enough. You know, you can't be an 8 one game and then be a 5 the next game. I'd rather you just be a 7 every week, because then I can trust you and I know what I'm getting out of you. So that's the consistency needs to be better from some of them, and the individual errors, which cost us in the first 3 games massively. Cut them out, and I think we're there or thereabouts. Yeah, but I'll always be driving the ball mad for better players.
Yeah, of course. Right. Are you surprised that Hungerford are going so well?
No, I'm not. They got a system. They've got some good players. The centre forward, Ryan Seager, I know him. Spoke to him in the summer. Good player. So there's no... Listen, this level, right, this season, anyone can win it. And anyone, if they get going and you start winning and all of a sudden you get the belief, you can get 3 or 4 games, wins, and then that's it. Then you're on a run. The biggest problem and the biggest thing that I think's hurt us this season is not having our fans in our ground, because we're formidable at home, right? Tuesday nights, Saturday nights, shooting down that end, Jake Robinson scoring, the fans banging against, you know, the walls and that. It's a real atmosphere down here. And if you down here, it's so quiet. It's so quiet, and I feel like it's actually been tough for us to deal with that. And it, you know, Jakey said it. You know, it's so different, Gaff. We're having to find the atmosphere in ourselves. You know, in ourselves as an 11. You know, you can hear Alex screaming and shouting every fight. Nick Hutt on Tuesday driving me mad. You know, shouting. But that we're having to create an atmosphere for the team without the fans at home has been really difficult, and it's been tough. And I think that's probably hurt us in games where normally we get on top in the second half and we go on and we score 2 or 3. We're actually finding it hard to do that. So hopefully we can get that right, and hopefully, obviously, we can get fans back in the ground. But anyone can win it this season because there's no fans. It's a leveller.
Yeah. We've got lots coming through, Jamie, so maybe...
Just crack on, mate. You pick whatever. I'm all right. I'm sure Paul can do it, you know?
Yeah. Joe, you might have to excuse my pronunciation. Joe tweeted about the game on Saturday. Do you have a plan to oppose the aerial threat on set pieces?
Yeah, we're going to work on set pieces in about 5 minutes. So, obviously, I know Joe, I know George Elacobi, played with both of them. So, they're obviously threats from corners. There's something we need to address. So we've been good at set pieces since I've come in. Over sort of 20 games, we've actually not conceded many, but last 2 or 3, we had one went straight in from a wide free kick. We had one on Tuesday, was just a second phase, which I hate. I hate second phase goals because that's just switching off. That's just your man doing his job and your man watching the ball. And we did it on Tuesday. We ball watched and the man got in. So set pieces we will address. We've been looking at it, but we're confident in what we're doing and we've got players, right? I don't know how many of you watched the game on Tuesday against Welling, but from set pieces, they were aggressive and they wanted it more than us. And that's why they scored. With us, when I look at our set pieces, we've got the personnel and we've got the players, we've got the height. I'm not sure. I don't know if we've got the mentality in some of them if they really want to win it. I think Ron Henry wants to win it. And I think Joe Felix wants to win it. And he's probably the smallest player in the team. Apart from that, we need to be more aggressive. And that's something I'm going to work on, obviously, with them in about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Bit of drum and bass.
Sorry, Jamie.
So I'll unmute myself because we've lost Nick. So I've got the chat here, so I'll read out for you.
Right. Oh, cheers, Jamie.
Realistically, would top 8 be reasonable after such a challenging start? How deep is the squad? No, it's that our ambition is still to get in the top to get in the top 7, which is playoffs. I think we've got the squad. As I said, it's tough, right? There's some good teams this season. It is a leveler at the moment with fans and stuff not being. I think that's affected us more than it's affected other teams. But we're confident that we can still get in the top 7. If you win 3 or 4 on the bounce, you are right back in there. So we'll be there or thereabouts, I think, in my opinion. The pitch, what's it like to play on? Have the players adapt to it yet? The pitch is fantastic, by the way. It's absolutely brilliant. What an investment for the football club. And yeah, I think the boys have adapted well to it. Takes it out of your legs a little bit. Saturday, Tuesday, it is tiring. It's just different, getting adapted. And players like Doug Loft, struggle. And that's something we've got to try and address because we can't, losing Doug, losing Frankie, they're big players for us. So just injury-wise is something you've got to be careful of on a 3G. But I think we've done well so far to not lose too many players, and we've coped with the squad. We've got a deep enough squad, and we've got the 23s as well. We've got 5 or 6 of them training with us tonight. We have them regular with us, and some of them are close to breaking in my opinion. Jake Nicholas has been really good. Max has been scoring goals for the 23s, who I like as well. He's got a lot of potential. And the centre-half, Big Henry as well, who I like. So we've got enough players in the squad to cope. No worries about that. I don't know if Nick's back, so I'll just carry on. Billy Knott. Billy Knott, his quality, can we keep him on the straight and narrow? I hope so. Yeah, he's a top player. I work with him closely with Conch, and Conch is friends with him as well. We speak to him regularly. So we'll be keeping him on the straight and narrow while he's here, that's for sure, because he knows the standards that me and Conch set ourselves. And sometimes it can be a little bit high, I think, for this level. But that's the standards that we expect from everyone. And Billy knows that, and I don't think he'll be letting us down. He's been good in the last 2 games. It was tough for him on Tuesday. They played a kind of 6 in midfield, 4 in, really narrow in the middle of the park. So it was hard for him. And he just ran out of steam in the end. But fantastic player to have at the football club. I'll ignore the question about me putting my boots on this season. Yeah. Are you looking forward to facing former teammate Alan Julian next Saturday? if he's in the squad, Hampton and Richmond. Of course, love Jules, fantastic servant to the football club. Been doing all right there as well. So, yeah, it's another one. Obviously, I don't actually really like playing players who are here from last season because they always seem to play well. It's always just a thing as a footballer. You always play well. You always play well against your former club. Packed, done it, scored against us. Always seems to be the case. So hopefully Jules will turn up when I shake his hand and welcome him here. But hopefully we'll throw a few in and not come for some crosses. At the fans forum for the start of the season, you said we would play a high press and pass the ball from the back. We're not able to play like that at the moment. Is that because the squad can't play that way? I think with the way we're playing at the moment is basically we've got to utilise our strengths. And our strengths at the moment are Jake Robinson. So we need to get him on the football pitch and playing him. And, he's been fantastic, right? He didn't start very well at the start of the season. He wasn't quite there in a 1. But in a 2, he's absolutely phenomenal. So at the end of the day, you can work on a formation and work. We still want to play the high press and we still want to pass the ball out from the back for sure. And we will be doing that at home especially. But games away from home where it's tough and you're away against Welling and things like that, you have to play to your strengths of the team that you've got. And I think that's getting it out wide to Carl Reid, to Luke, to Sham, and getting crosses in the box and getting Jake Robinson and Hutch in and around them playing together. And I think that's what we've done over the last sort of 3 games is got them 2 playing together. And even though Hutch hasn't scored, he's been fantastic in his work rate and his set-up play for Jake. He nodded one down for him on Tuesday, which Jake knows he should have scored. That would have been 3 in 3 games of assists for Hutch for him. So that's, we're playing to our strengths. And I think that's the most important thing. You can want to play a certain way, but if it's not working for you and all of a sudden we're not getting results, you have to be adaptable. And I think looking at the players that we've got, playing the 4-4-2 at the minute, is our best formation.
Okay, I am back, Jamie.
Okay, mate, do you want to crack on? Just ask a few more. Is that all right? And just if there's ones in there that stand out.
Yeah, unfortunately, I had to. When I left the chat, I lose.
Oh, right.
So I can't
You're
see.
useless, basically, Nick.
Yeah.
All right, I'll just crack on, Nick. I'll crack on. I'll go through a few more. There's only 4 or 5 left, so I'll crack on, yeah?
Thank you.
Will we see Ruben Suarez? Looks dangerous, skillful player in pre-season, someone that can take on a thing. Definitely. Someone I really like. I really like him. Hasn't had a chance yet. He's in and out. He's close to it, but he needs to work. He needs to work on his game. We need to get him up to a level where I think I can trust him to put him in. We brought in Tosin, who plays there as well, who's actually done well for us. And I think if you're trying to hold on to a lead, Tosin's great because he gets you up the pitch and he's better defensively than Ruben. I think if we're going to chase a game, Ruben might be one that will probably get some minutes, but he's close, like all of them are on the bench. They're all close, but at the moment in the last 3 games, the lads that have been playing have done well. So we've got a decent squad and hopefully we'll get some minutes. How long is Dion Curtis Henry here for? And is the QPR keeper still on loan at the club? Dion is here for the season, right? We've signed him. He's registered to the football club, so he's here for the foreseeable. Hopefully, he'll be here for the season. And the QPR keeper went back. Martin has gone back to QPR because he felt that he wanted to play and didn't want to rotate with Dion. And I think Dion's had some great games. He's had some average games. So Dion's the number one and someone I like and someone I admire. I think he's a good player and he's doing a good job. What formation do you feel suits the team best? If you're looking at formations, I'd say at the moment 4-4-2, right? Getting 2 up front, getting Hutch and getting Jake up front together, getting them as a pairing has been good. Shamir Fenelon is a very good centre forward as well. He's been playing on the right at the minute, but he's actually a striker. So he can play up there with Jake, and he looks very good in training together, them two as well. So I think playing two up front is good for us. The only problem that is you've got to have legs in midfield if you're playing a 4-4-2. So your two midfielders have got to be fit. They've got to be able to get around. They've got to be able to dictate the tempo of the game. And as you saw on Tuesday night, it was tough because if they play six in there, a 3-5-2 or a 3-6-1 formation, that can be difficult. So I think a 4-4-2 or a 3-5-2, which we changed to in the second half, when the game opens up, you can go for it a little bit more of a 3-5-2. They're our best formations at the moment. But it's about getting Jake in the team, in my opinion, because he's the one who's going to make a difference and score goals for us. Do you feel we could do with another option going forward? Hutch is improving, but thought Libbard caused us problems Tuesday. Would someone like that benefit us? From Rich. Rich man always comes out with the tough questions, doesn't he? I think Hutch is great. You know, yeah, I agree with you, Rich. Want more from him. Can he add goals? Can he add, he had a couple on Tuesday where, he should be scoring. But as I just said, Shamir is actually a centre forward. So Shamir Fenelon can play up front. He can do that job. He wants to play up front, but because Hutch and Jake have been doing so well, we've pushed him to the right, and he can play on the right as well. But we've got Luke and we've got Reedy. So there's options for Sham to play up top with Jake. But it's always nice to have a big, massive target, man. I agree with you. They're great, but they're hard to find, and they're not cheap, let me tell you. So if we can find one for nothing, Rich, let me know. Watch Jules, he scores on AstroTurf. That's true. What was the thinking behind Chev coming off and Joe going to full back Tuesday? Rich man with another tough one, eh? He wasn't good enough, Chev, in my opinion. And you have to make decisions. You can set up a formation, you can set up a team, but if the player isn't at it on the night in a big game, then you have to make difficult decisions. And he wasn't at the races, in my opinion, Chev, giving the ball away when he got it. Defensively, he wasn't sound, wasn't tucking in, wasn't supporting, kept getting done by the right winger. In my opinion, gave away 2 penalties. So got away with one and then gave away another one. So you have to make a decision to sometimes get the player off the pitch because it's just not happening for him. And you could see his confidence was going more and more. Probably would have ended up potentially costing us. So you have to make tough decisions as a manager. You never like taking someone off early, but sometimes players have bad games and you have to get them off the pitch, and Joe Felix can go in there and do that job. Chef.
Okay, Jamie, I think you managed to get through them all. So
yeah. Thank
you very much.
No worries.
We'll let you go now, but thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, everyone, and good luck, and hopefully we'll see you back in the ground before Christmas because we need you back dearly, let me tell you. It's hard without you. Take care.
Jamie.
Well done, big boy. See you, mate. Well done.
So we'll just go through a bit of an update now, and then we'll do another Q&A at the end. So just to start, I should add that Alex sends his apologies. He can't be with us this evening. Unfortunately, one of his daughters is unwell. And we also have to announce that Greg Lake has decided to take a step backwards from day-to-day operations of the club. There hasn't been any disagreements, any big fallout. It's just that Greg's got a lot going on in his life at the moment with work commitments and he's just moved house, etc. So he's just decided for a period of time to take a step backwards. So he won't be involved in the day-to-day running of operations, but he is very much still a shareholder, very much still will help with the women's and the girls' football, and obviously remains a key sponsor of the football club. Happy to take any questions on that, as I said, at the end. I believe Dave McCartney is on the call. or I certainly expect him to be on the call. In terms of an update on COVID and fans being able to come into the ground, we can confirm, I mean, Alex and Simon did a great job in terms of all the COVID risk assessments and documentation and on-site inspections and reviews. So the ground is ready to have you all back as and when the Department of Media and Sport and Culture and the government allow it to happen. So, as I said, big thanks to Alex and Simon for all the hard effort to get to where we are today. Just in terms of the pitches and car park, I thought that both the two pitches were operating really well. I can tell you they were booked out evenings from sort of 4 till 10 o'clock, Monday to Friday. Lots of games happening at the weekend. We had a lot of the boys and the girls team certainly enjoying playing 11-a-side matches at New Lodge as well as on the community pitch, and I think a lot of us were enjoying watching those games and different age groups and seeing, you know, the talent that's coming through the youth teams, both in the boys and the girls section. So it was a real blow when that stopped. I know that a lot of obviously the boys and girls and the women are massively missing their football at the moment, even just training. They can't train, they can't play matches. But hopefully it won't be too much longer. Probably at this point, the one thing I would like to say is we did manage, I think, to go some way to address some of the car parking issues that we were having around the club once the second pitch was opened and that car parking became available. But I would like to give a big thanks to the volunteers who were helping with the car parking, to Linda, to Vic, to Trevor, to Kay. They helped and made a massive difference to the car parking situation. So I wanted to thank them all this evening. If we can now, we'll just go through the different sections of the club just to give a bit of an update. So, Rob, do you want to talk about the under 23s and the under 18s story of the season so far?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So, hi everybody. Sorry, I was missing for a while there, but Jamie was using my computer, which was a sight to see. So, stories so far. So, last time we spoke, there was also a recent podcast as well, which hopefully you've got a chance to listen to. We talked about creating the infrastructure, getting the 18s in place, creating the 23s from scratch. All has been good. 18 started the season very well. They were operating around the top of the league at the time of when COVID kicked in again, unfortunately. Had just suffered a disappointing loss in the FA Youth Cup, but things still progressing nicely, still very much involved in the other competitions. For those of you that have followed the 23s, you know, just to go over what I've said previously, we made a conscious decision as a football club to, you know, enter a men's league with no age restriction, and at the same time build a team based on, you know, younger players, because the ultimate intention, as I've said before, is for those guys to hopefully grow into future first team players. And, you know, our thinking is if you're not in the first team by the time you're 22 or 23 or there or thereabouts, it's likely that you won't make that level. So our average age is 18, which is very young. Up until the week before lockdown, we'd only lost one game, which was the first game of the season, and we're, you know, around the top of the league, which is very good. You know, very old saying. We're not paying too much attention to league tables, but you know, the boys are developing very well. We continue to attract, as Jamie alluded to earlier. We've got, I think, 6 guys from the 23s playing with the first team tonight. So very, very promising. And again, I can only thank, you know, the first team staff and Jamie for giving those boys an opportunity, because what it does do, of course, is word gets around very quickly, and it allows us to attract further players with the potential to train and hopefully play for the first team. So far so good. This year was always very much about creating the infrastructure. I think we were ahead of target, if I'm honest, both in terms of talent in the door and the general the feel around the place. So yeah, so far so good is the evaluation so far.
Okay, thanks, Rob. Kim, can we pass over to you to give an update on the women and the girls, please?
Yeah, of course you can. Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Perfect. So from the ladies and girls section, I think like most, we are disappointed that we actually had a stop to the season. But I think for us personally, we was allowed to actually have the fans in, and as they all know, we're really grateful for what they do. Obviously coming down to support the ladies is absolutely fantastic. We've still got the 3 senior teams that are all still pushing for to get as top as they possibly can in their league positions. The first team are still in the FA Cup. We're in the first round proper. I'm led to believe that could actually be down at Billericay Town Football Club on the 13th of December. So I suppose it's all just down to COVID and what happens around that. The first team and the reserve team are still in the County Cup, which is absolutely fantastic. A positive for me, and sadly for the 2 semi-finalists last season, is that our first team are still Essex County champions. So I'm extremely proud of that. And due to COVID, we're still honoured to hold that title. We've actually had two recent signings. We've actually had Lottie Everson, who's a goalkeeper. That's not taken anything away from the 2 goalkeepers that we have, but obviously competition is very important, and it's great if you can consider that we've actually got 2 teams, so we do need that cover. So we've actually signed Lottie Everson to come on board to be part of Alex and Amy in the goalkeeper position for the first team. And obviously that will support the reserve team as and when needed. We also signed on a terrific player from Gillingham, a young player called Ellie Jeffkins, and we're really delighted to actually have her on board. She took part in our pre-season, but we always say that we want to support the player. Gillingham are in tier 3, we're tier 4. Thankfully for us, Ellie's decided to come to us partway through the season, so we welcome both players to our family. We just want to get back to football, and as I said earlier, with the supporters being able to come in to watch the female games, that actually helps us massively, which Jamie alluded to. Obviously, our fans are absolutely fantastic, and I can't thank them enough. So hopefully let's get back to playing football soon, and we get our supporters back behind all of our female section. Obviously the youngsters still very much in the Essex County League and the Brentwood League about when they're allowed back, so we're just taking the lead from them. So as soon as we know, it'll all be out on social media. But Nick, if it's okay with you, I've just covered quickly off for the female section, but from an operational point of view, I'd just actually like to say on behalf of the ladies, a big thank you to Claire Burrell, who was the lead for the women's section on COVID. So her support to Alex and Simon, I just want to say a big thank you to Claire Burrell. Also as well, operationally, I'd like to say a big thank you to all the game match day staff. We actually have a lot of volunteers that come down to make it run smoothly. And those of you that know the different roles that we actually have to play. So I'd like to say on behalf of the club, thank you so much for doing what you do, because you make it run smoothly, and I really appreciate that. So that's it for me, Nick.
Well said, Kim. Very well said. Just in terms of the boys section, they're equally frustrated, as I mentioned earlier. You know, a lot of the teams started the season very well, doing very well in their respective leagues, doing well in some of the cup competitions. So very, very frustrated to stop. I also thought the under-18s were incredibly unlucky in the FA Youth Cup. I think they represented the club extremely well. But they're a very good squad, and hopefully they'll get the opportunity to win some other things this season. Probably the only other thing to update on the boys section is we were going to sort of formally announce this a few weeks ago, but then the lockdown came and we were going to play some games and then sort of take some photos and announce it. But in the boys section, we've now sort of officially partnered with Ipswich Town Football Club. They will be running their Essex Centre of Excellence at the football club on a Friday evening. Over a number of years, the Colt section's produced a lot of youth team players for Ipswich. They like what we do as a football club. They like the coaching that we have in place. They like the fact that when we send a boy to Ipswich, they're ready to play for Ipswich and they've been properly. So I think it's a great endorsement for the Colts, and we're looking forward to that partnership. They did actually have a couple of Friday sessions before COVID. We had arranged some games and we were going to do a big sort of joint announcement, but unfortunately with the lockdown that all got put on hold. Just moving forward on the agenda, if we move to some of the community projects, with the second lockdown, we've had another big push with the food bank. I would say that the guys that work at the food bank, I mean, have just done an amazing job. From when we first went there in March, it was literally a cupboard in St John's Church. It's now sort of taken over the church, and they're in the next couple of weeks they'll be moving to a new premises in the high street, which I think again will take them another leg forward, because I think it will be much more convenient for people to make donations, etc. So I'm actually really proud to see how that's gone from strength to strength. Obviously, Phil and Stuart, our football pastors, and Gary have been a big part of that. So it's been really good to see. And what I'm also really happy about is we started the walking football this year, which has just been phenomenal. And I think Bill Sedgwick, who's running that for the football club, has done an amazing job. And it's great to see, you know, some of the fans and some of the characters around the football club participating in that. But it's also really nice to now see that a lot of the walking football people are getting involved with the food bank, and they're going to help with the whole move from St John's Church over to the high street in the next couple of weeks. So it's really good to see that, you know, the different aspects of the club are engaging in different parts of our community projects. And just last Saturday, we've already had the sporting hub, which we've talked about before, but we now, with Phil and Stuart's help, we connected with a lot of other organisations, charitable organisations within Billericay. We had a call last Saturday about how we can continue to help one another. Obviously, the government changed their decision, but we were going to help with the sort of free school meals in the holidays. That's sort of where it started and came together. But there's lots of great ideas in terms of how we can all work together on different community initiatives. So that's probably got us to the end of the formal agenda. So we're now open for any questions that anybody has. So I'll have a quick look at the chat. With the club receiving payments, can we manage for the rest of the season? Well, it's interesting because it's moving. There is confirmed financial support for the National League through to the end of December. It looks like, I haven't had a chance to analyse everything that's been said today, but it looks like that support will be extended. Of course, our preference is to get the fans back into the ground and not have to rely on the financial support from the government. It is great. Does it cover all of the costs of the football club? No, unfortunately, it doesn't. But of course, we'll get through to the end of the season and many more seasons. There was some questions on the Women's FA Cup, which Kim actually covered already. Any chance of getting Richman on a permanent contract for match commentary? That government grant should just about cover it. Rich, are you? How did you enjoy your debut, and are you keen to do it again?
Yeah, it was enjoyable. I'm not sure once we're allowed back in the ground that it would be my favourite point to watch from, but we shall see.
Okay, thanks, Rich. Came down to a few games before lockdown and was impressed with the standard of the teams. Well done, Kim and Rob. Are there any updates on the main road parking problems? Well, as I mentioned earlier, we tried to relieve a lot of the problems when we opened the second pitch and the parking. We also now have a formal rental agreement with the cricket club. So obviously the cricket club, not much happening at the moment. So we're now formally paying rent to utilise their car park. And I do think things settled down a little bit, because particularly with the pitch bookings, we're now into the block bookings. So it's the same users using the slots on the pitches each week, or it was. So I think people got into a bit more of a rhythm, and the bookings were becoming a lot more just Billericay teams. So I think people that are just naturally going to be a lot more respectful towards our neighbours. When we first opened the pitches, we had a lot of what I would call external bookings. So people, other teams, other clubs, who just naturally are just not going to be as sensitive. So we thought the situation had improved. Of course, it still wasn't fantastic, and we're still looking to explore more parking. There's a lot of building work happening at the hospital next door at the moment, but once that's finished, we have an agreement to utilise additional parking there. We did actually try to rent the land behind, not the Bluntswall Road end, but behind the other stand where we lose all the footballs. We tried to rent that and look at utilising that for parking, but unfortunately the current owners are not interested. They're waiting for planning permission. So we're trying hard, and if anyone's got any ideas, please let us know. But we do obviously need to keep making improvements on the parking side. I had problems streaming on Saturday. Did anyone else have a similar issue? Richard Ingram was very helpful, but didn't solve the problem. I don't know, Richard, do you want to say anything, or Ben, about the streaming? I know from feedback, I mean, some people, it's just works perfectly for. Some people have issues. Clearly, a lot of it is about the strength of people's individual Wi-Fi, but I'm more of a Luddite, so I'll probably hand over to Richard or Ben to answer that question.
Yeah, basically, we're working on trying to, the providers we're using for the live stream, we're working on trying to basically take into account with people's internet connections. So therefore they're able to view the match and see it and all the rest of it. That's what we're working on at the moment. So yeah, I'm sorry if people have been having issues, but we are trying to improve as we go along so we stop these issues happening. I think what we've recently done is, for the last live stream, is with anyone who isn't a season ticket holder, we've automated the codes that get sent out, so they don't have to wait for me to email them with the code, which has previously happened. So therefore they get it pretty much straight away, and that will work better for the next live stream. But I think overall the live stream is very, very good, you know, because we've got Ben doing all the filming, and we've got Chris and Lee and Rich Mann who did the live commentary for us. So I think it is a real decent service. So hopefully these issues will stop and all the rest of it, and then, you know, people can just enjoy the whole experience.
One thing we were looking at, Rich, it was the so when you play the video, we was looking at a system where it could identify how good your internet was, and it would automatically set what quality you wanted to stream at. So the standard for everyone is 1080p, which is like full HD. But if you've got poor internet, we were looking at options where you could reduce the quality down to like 360, 480, 720. That should help people with poor internet.
Yeah, I'm working on that with MUX. They're providing us with the stream.
Okay, thanks very much, Ben. Thanks, Richard. Is Dave McCartney on the line?
Yeah, Nick, I'm here.
Dave, maybe you'd like to take this one. Whilst we've gone 3 games unbeaten, the overall performances do not appear to have improved on last season. Do the board still believe that the playoffs are a realistic goal if we do not improve as a team?
Well, good question, Nick. From what I think is, personally, I think we've basically signed some good players, and we've got a good squad to basically push for the playoffs. We haven't started too good this season, as you can tell. But as I said, it's basically, I speak to Jamie on a regular basis about this, and he has basically give me an update of players every week. He just think we're not basically got the gel together. I do think we need a good run right through, like for after the last couple of games. I don't think we were too good against Welly. There was our myself watching the game. I think they were the better team on the day. I think we were lucky to come away with a point. But as I say, is overall, I think even the first 4 games which we haven't won, the only game I watched, which I didn't think we were too good on, was the Tonbridge game. The rest of the games we've been unlucky. We have been very unlucky. But the playoff position, I do think if we do get a run, keep basically the main players fit, I do think we could be in the top half of the table. That's where I think we are.
Okay, thanks, Dave. While we've got you, if we get you to answer a few more, if you don't mind.
Of course, no problem at all.
Will the sweet shop, known as Bliss's Delights, and the world's greatest bar in the clubhouse have their signs removed or be given a new name?
Yes, as you know, we've done it basically. We have to respect Glenn, as I said before, for what he's done in the club. We have basically changed the mural. Basically, I think it looks really well, but basically Nicky's daughter's done. And we'll be changing other parts of the shop. We are trying to knock the shop and the sweet shop into the main bar. It's on our list to do. So the sweet shop will go and the names will be changed.
Thanks, Dave. You've already sort of... are there any plans to paint over the graffiti behind the field end entrance, the field end terrace?
I haven't seen that, to be fair. So whereabouts is that there, Nick?
I'll be honest, I'm not sure. If it was the graffiti that was on the stairway, on the wall, then that has already been painted over.
I know some people might say the mural's graffiti, but it's there for a long time now. We'll obviously leave that up. No, I don't know nothing about it, to be fair, but if there's any graffiti going around the ground, of course, we'll be painting it over to basically keep the appearance of the ground to a high standard. We'll still have work to do on the ground. As I say, we are doing bits and pieces. Nick has a team going through there with volunteers who are basically giving their time for free to help us out. But as I say, we've got bits and pieces to do around the ground, Nick. So as we all know, so the plan of attack is just take it day by day, week by week, and just keep improving the facility. But anything to do with graffiti, of course, that'll be removed as soon as we see it.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. And on that note, if anybody is available to volunteer and do a few jobs around the club, please get in touch. There's always things that need to be done, and any help would be gratefully received. Dave, next one. is there a bit of playing budget left to bring in a player if we needed one?
At the moment now, speaking to Jamie, of course, as you know, Jamie just mentioned earlier on, he would sign another 10 players if we basically we give him his chance. I'm going to say at the moment, I don't think we need any more players to come in. And regarding the budget, I think our budget's set for the foreseeable future. I wouldn't want to basically say here that if the right player comes along, we would turn him down. But going forward, Jamie is confident in his squad, and we'll basically see how it goes on. But the answer is, if the right player comes along, we'll keep our options open.
Okay. Thanks, Dave. There's a question here. I'm not sure who's best to answer. Could a book be published based on the complete history of the club, i.e. founding the present day? So,
basically, go ahead. Who will answer that one?
Well, some of the supporters have a great knowledge. People like James. I think it'd be great if they were prepared to write a book about the club and the history.
I think it would be amazing to basically for the club. As I say, it's just getting all the knowledge together before it's gone. There's a lot of history here, not just basically, but I mean, it's been going for a long time, the club. So it's something we can look into. If basically somebody, whoever basically asked the question wants to come and see us, we're going to have that chat.
Yeah, James, I'm sure you're on the line. Any thoughts of writing a book?
If whoever that was comes and has a chat with you, can you beat them up for me?
I'll take that as a no then.
Not enough is known about the early years. If we were formed in 1880, the first result isn't known until 1893. There's a massive gap. So, yeah.
Sounds
we
like
can only do a book on the senior history.
Sounds like a project for you, James.
I'm busy, sorry.
Thank you.
We'll take as a no at the moment then,
yeah? Sorry, just trying to look for a question. There's a lot of comments about the stream. Could a whiteboard be installed inside the ground where the home turnstiles are, displaying the starting 11 and subs, so supporters who's playing supporters know who's playing as soon as they enter the ground? So I'll actually answer that one because, I mean, I understand a lot of you will not have been to New Lodge in the last few months, but we have made a few changes around the ground. One of the changes we've made is to put in place some digital advertising boards inside the clubhouse as well as in the men's and the women's bathrooms. And depending on how those pilot projects go, we'll be looking to potentially extend that digital advertising to other parts of the ground. And the benefit of having that digital marketing is that we can also control the content. So we can put on there the starting team. We can put on there a list of fixtures, and we can do it without having to make posters and print posters and get people to put them up everywhere. We just literally digitally change the content of the boards, and it becomes available for everyone. So team sheets was something we've already thought about, because obviously we print, several copies of the team sheet, and somebody has to hand them out on the ground. With the digital boards, they can be immediately displayed as soon as the team sheets are known. So yes, that's very much.
Well, Nick, you're actually modelling one over your right shoulder.
Yeah. Yes, that's true, Rob. Thank you. Are there any plans to introduce more merchandise or gifts in the club shop, i.e. scarves, hats, key rings, mugs, flasks, fridge magnets, signed shirts, phone cases, to name a few? Kim, do you want to take that?
Sorry about that. I think at the present moment, we've actually got more lines in there than we've actually ever had in a club shop of our level. I think the good thing is to recognise that we get complimented by visiting clubs about what we do stock and how well presented it is. I do take on board about the various different small items, and that's something that we will look into. But we also need to recognise that we need to hold minimum quantities, so you've actually got cash flow as well. But it's a great question, and it's something that I'll actually take on and look to see if we can actually deliver to you guys. But what we do need is you guys to buy them.
Thanks, Kim. So I'm trying to. Somebody said I've missed questions, so I do apologise if I have missed any. Then please repost them, and I'll definitely address them. One I realised I have missed. What has been the uptake of pay-per-view, and do you think the pricing is right? So Ben, do you want to take the question around the uptake, or Richard, and then I'll take the question on the pricing.
We know how many tickets we sell each match. I don't exactly know the total viewing figures. Richard does all that. So, Richard, do you know the sort of average viewing figures we get?
And what, for the live stream?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting between 250 and 300 on a live stream.
That's quite decent.
Yeah.
In terms of the pricing, happy to take feedback. If people, did try and look at what everybody else was doing, and we tried to be sort of mid the pack. That was the strategy. But if people have specific feedback on pricing, then please let us know, and we'll consider any changes. Kim, probably one for you. How many season tickets were refunded to supporters following the season starting behind closed doors?
So refunds, we're standing approximately about 30. And I think the club have been fantastic. I think the owners have been really supportive because we recognise that everybody's situation is not the same. So we've refunded approximately about 30. And we just thank everybody that has been able to continue with their support. But we also recognise that people's financial situations are different. So, we fully understand that, but it's been approximately 30.
Thank you, Kim. Has there been any progress on the ground lease in the last 2 months? It's a shame Alex is not here because he can give you a much more comprehensive answer than me, but there has been a lot of progress. And I think now we're very, very close to agreeing, a long lease extension. I know they came to do final inspections a couple of months ago, and I think they were satisfied with everything that they've done. I don't think it's actually been executed yet. I think, again, because of the lockdown. But what I'll do is I'll get a more comprehensive answer to that, and we'll find a way, maybe on Twitter, to get it out to everyone. So there's some more comments about the graffiti. We'll look into that. Some volunteers on that, which we'll follow up on. Any news on the shirts, Kim?
Look at my smile. I'd like to say that Mr. Nick Hutt actually took in a delivery for me on Tuesday. I'm down the club tomorrow. We have actually had some more deliveries. So, Joe, fingers crossed, your shirts will be in. If not, I'm just praying they're very soon.
Thanks, Kim. Another one for Ben or Richard. Welling Stream had instant replays, which was fantastic. Is this a feature that could be added to our home stream?
We're not. I mean, they were good. They had proper equipment. They came in with like briefcases full of all this camera gear. At the end of the day, we're not Sky Sports, so obviously we'd like to do stuff like that, but it's usually just me running the stream and filming at the same time, so it's quite hard to even think about doing stuff like that.
Okay, thanks, Ben. There's a question here, or statement here. It says you have to keep the price of streaming fair to the season ticket. So I thought that all the season ticket holders received the streaming for free.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, all season ticket holders get it for free.
Yeah, do you want to just explain that, Richard? Because maybe, some season ticket holders are unaware of that.
Yeah, basically, if the season ticket holder goes to the live stream link on the website, then what they can do is they close the pop-up and then there'll be a box for the password and they put in their RIC code, the RIC code, and then that will log them into the live stream. So they don't have to buy a ticket like everyone else has to do. So that's the system we've been using since we've been starting this live stream service.
Okay, thanks, Richard. There's a question. Prior to the first lockdown, Greg Lake was chairing a management committee with all sections represented. Is it the club's intention to carry on with this? Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's one thing that we absolutely need to get on the ground again with the stop-starts with COVID. I believe there was just one meeting, but yeah, that's absolutely still we still very much want to do. Regarding the problem with reading the questions is when they post new ones, it changes. Regarding the mural behind the Harry Parker stand, what will be added to the empty clouds in the media of in the middle of the mural and the blank scroll paper at the end of the mural? So I'm happy to answer this. On the blank scroll, what will be added is the club's honours. So league titles, trophies, etc. So that will become a roll of honours that the club has won. And I don't know if I'll tell Nicky Hayes, should we tell them about the clouds or should we hold back?
Nick?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll leave that entirely up to you as to how you want to play that. Obviously, we know.
Okay, well, as the question's been asked, we'll answer. So the intention there is to use part of the wall as we're calling it a wall of fame. So for legends of the football club, whether that's players, volunteers, former managers, people that have been involved in the women's or the boys section of the club. We have already chosen the first 15 names to go into the clouds for the Wall of Fame. There is obviously space for a lot more than 15, so we will then have an annual process to add additional names. We had the first committee that agreed to 15 names that was composed of people from different sections of the club, people from BTSS, people with a lot of history of the club, with etc. So the first 15 names are agreed and will be added to the mural by Sean, Nicky's daughter. As I said, there'll then be an annual process to add additional names to the list. Will streams continue when fans are allowed back in? I'm not sure we've made a decision on that. Ben, Richard, any views on that?
I mean, we can. It's not entirely my decision, though, to be honest.
Yeah.
Looking at it, Nick, basically, I think that we need to get closer to the time. I think most of the people who will be streaming it hopefully will be at the ground. So I think when we do get the fans back in, as I said, we'll see what kind of feedback we get the fans forum, the fans forum before, hopefully the first game of crowds, and we can assess it then.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would recommend, because you know some people will be away and maybe away missing the game and want to see it, but I would try to basically encourage more of the fans to be back in to support the team on a Saturday and Tuesday. That's what I recommend.
I think when we start having fans, and it'll probably be a limited amount, so I think
so.
we probably will carry on streaming until everyone's allowed back in. I think that's likely what will happen.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Maybe, Rob, you want to take this one? It said, have we got any plans to do a promotion of the club and the new pitches for the local area? A reminder to people of Billericay of the great work that has been carried out in lockdown.
Yeah, I think we had some grandiose plans to have an official opening, frankly, but COVID put paid to that, along with many other things. So I think we'd certainly like to publicise it. I think social media, before the most recent lockdown, we were able to, get out there, get our message out there a lot better than we would have done previously. So, yes, we will continue to do so, and hopefully recognise, a formal reopening sometime in the very near future, I would suggest. Going back to the question on the streaming, I just saw a very valid point made, actually. Of course, our decision on the streaming will be governed by the regulations of the National League, because I think I'm right in saying before COVID, we were prevented from providing a live stream. So I guess we'll be guided by them as well.
Thank you, Rob. There's a very valid statement here that says technically the live stream is not free. We purchased the season, so we are paying for it. Absolutely correct, and my for that statement. Oxford City proudly showed off a video screen scoreboard at their ground in the FA Cup televised on TV recently. It was provided by a sponsor. Could we perhaps provide something similar in time and use that for digital advertising too, as well as displaying news, scores, etc.? So I think the easy answer to that is if we have a sponsor a television screen, video screen, scoreboard, we'd be more than happy to talk to you.
We were speaking to somebody, Nick, regarding that, as you know, and basically, but there was a cost basically which came with it. There wasn't going to basically give us a screen to put up for free. So we did talk to somebody that didn't basically pay off. So we'll have to look at it in the near future.
Okay, random question. Would a 500 to 1,000 piece jigsaw puzzle of New Lodge be a good gift to sell in the club shop? Sounds like a good idea to me. Kim, any thoughts? No. So we're getting to the end of the questions now. Prior to lockdown, what was the theoretical attendance limit for non-first team games? So I believe that the ladies or the women were allowed up to 600 supporters. But where we had got to with the assessments, the COVID risk assessments for the men's game, and if you've been to New Lodge, you'll see that actually a lot of seats have red and green stickers on them, which sort of indicates where people can sit, where they can't sit. I believe we got to 1,000. We felt that we could safely accommodate 1,000 people and maintain social distancing. So that was the last of the questions of the chat. I do apologise if we did miss any, but it is quite difficult to try and capture them all. So if there's no further questions, then that's an end to tonight's forum. So thanks very much for everybody who attended. Thank you. Good night,
guys.
Well done, Nick.
Thanks for all attending. Well done, Nick.
Thanks, guys. Well done.
Well done, Nick.
Take care, everybody.
Well done, Nick.